Right, so let's take you to the story now. The cost of government solar water heater project stands at an estimated 1 billion rand. That is according to the Director General of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, Jacob Mbele. Officials from the department briefed Parliament's Electricity and Energy Committee. The project, launched in 2009, was aimed at bringing relief to the country's energy constraints. Now, the goal was to have 1 million solar water geysers installed by 2014. To date, just over 58,000 have been installed in 7 provinces. Besides legal expenses related to manufacturing, the department has also incurred storage expenses worth millions of rands. Now, let's bring in energy analyst Lindo Ngema to make sense of the recent developments in the energy space, as well as the newly proposed tariff hike by Eskom. Thank you so much for your time, and good afternoon to you. I want to start by just the calls that we are hearing to boycott Eskom's latest proposed tariff hike. Essentially, the DA, of course, saying that it will formally now oppose any increase proposed by Eskom in Parliament. This year alone, I mean, when you look and consider that NERSA approved a 12.74% tariff increase, which kicked off in April. Just talk to us about what's behind Eskom's latest proposal.
Thank you so much, Unati, for having me today. Yes, indeed, the tariff side, if you look over the last 16 years, you've had well over 700% of increase when it comes to tariff structures. And NERSA is seemingly approving these tariffs on the basis of reports that Eskom municipality is giving them, looking at even the recent 200 surcharge that was posed to Johannesburg consumers by City of Joburg. We really need to work hard in terms of ensuring that this is not continuing to happen, because the cost of living is high. If you look at how tariffs are structured within South Africa, you will realize that there's a serious price discrimination when it comes to tariffs. We see people being connected from the same transformer, same cables, same meter frame, but different, same meter frame, but different meters, paying different rates per unit of electricity, because municipalities have different structures in which they do their pricing for electricity. Some people are paying high industrial tariff while they are on commercial setup. And we've seen some people paying residential tariffs when they are actually on business, because it's more like municipality or Eskom just sign up and charges people on whatever rate that they feel like charging at any time.
I mean, just over a week ago, we saw how MPs grilled, NERSA officials, including the Minister of Electricity and Energy. In fact, it was the Minister of Electricity who acknowledged that these prices are really hitting hard, particularly if you look at low-income and middle-class households. And I mean, already MPs raising there that some of these increases are way above the inflation rate as it stands. I mean, when does it then become sustainable? Because one looks at the progress that has been made, for one, in Eskom as an example. When are we going to start seeing, other solutions being, engineered, at least, instead of always seeking these tariffs from people who are already hard hit?
And yeah, I think you are raising a very point there, because we all know that there are a lot of people currently in different locations who are having illegal connections connected. So I think for Eskom to continuously increase prices and tariffs to those individuals who are paying for the sake of keeping up with operating costs, it's not a good approach. Instead of putting measures in place to ensure that they are collecting 100% revenue and running programs in all of those townships where we know that there are some illegal connection going place to mitigate their cost. That, I think, would be one area that they need to look at. Another area is to obviously look at helping individuals to understand measures that they can employ within their facilities or businesses in order to reduce their electricity cost, and understand how tariffs are structured. I think it's one important thing that the public needs to be exposed about, because a lot of people are not really aware that there's different price structures that are available for them on their bill. If one gets a bill paying 2 Rand 80 or whatever. They just pay and never really look into why am I paying 2 Rand 80 while my neighbor is paying 2 Rand 50 or another facility is paying 2 Rand 50. Because some of the tariffs are actually structured such that they're looking at your main breaker size, they're looking at your maximum KVAs. So all of those things, the tariff component, they need to be educated. People must know about it to understand the tariff structure, and they could potentially receive a tariff reduction if they understand what they are doing. We all know that what you cannot measure, you definitely cannot manage.
Absolutely. Lindo, let's look at then just some of the projects over the years that have been introduced to try and alleviate, just the pain in terms of these high electricity rates. Today in Parliament, officials from the Department of Minerals, Resources and Energy briefed MPs just on one of the projects, of course, the solar water heater project. To date, we understand that this project could stand at around about R1 billion. There were about 1 million or so solar water geysers that were expected to be installed by 2014. But we're sitting at about 58,000 that have been installed to date. Just talk to us about the significance then of this particular project.
I think according to my view, I did have a look at the presentation today. And one of the key things that I noted therein is that the very purpose of this project was to reduce electricity during peak demand. In other words, all know that our peak times is the morning rush as well as the afternoon rush, where Eskom, our grid, face severe stress when it comes to the demand, and they cannot keep up in terms of supplying everyone. And this project for solar water heating was introduced as a measure to mitigate the demand during peak times. According to my own perspective, I think solar geysers are not really the most relevant solution to reduce the demand during peak time, because if you're looking at the functionality of a solar geyser, it will heat up water during sun hours, and you'll be having a hot water in the evening, which is a 2-hour peak period that we have according to Eskom. But the morning rush again, consumers will be turning on alternative elements to heat up water, because whatever, if they have a geyser that has been rolled out by government, the water will be cold by then, And again, another thing I picked up, which was significant, is that we all know that when this program was introduced back in 2009, there were rebates to people who are currently moving to solar water heating system. And in 2014, we noticed that Eskom stopped the rebates. And the reason for stopping the rebate was that they are not seeing the benefits. The benefit of reduction of load during peak time was not as expected. But we continue to see government continuing to roll out this same program without yielding the results. And the presentation that we were giving early this morning, it doesn't really give us any update that after 10 years from 2014, when Eskom stopped the rebate on the basis that they don't see the benefits or the expected result from solar water heating system as expected, we are not being given any update in terms of what is the bottom line effect, how many megawatts have been reduced from the grid during peak time because of the initiative. Rather, we are getting a details of cost about storage, installation, and the damages that were there. And based on my own personal view, I'm seeing a lot of this rollout of solar water heating system rather not being a quality product. After 2-3 years being installed on a consumer's facility or people's home, they start leaking, wasting water, and they're not really giving the expected to that. So I was hoping that the presentation they are giving us, they would give us a little bit of an explanation of what are consumers, the end users of the project, and even 10 years later, I think about 15 years later, starting from 2009, what are they saying? What is the experience? What are the results? What is the bottom line on their electricity bill? Are they happy with the product? So we're not getting all of those
Lindo, you are raising some pertinent points, and I guess that is why it's so frustrating when you look at some of these initiatives which have good intentions but don't end up being followed through. But thank you so much for your time. I think we got the gist of today's presentation then, and of course, what a pity that it did not come to fruition in terms of that project. Lindo Ngema there for us, energy analyst, just talking to us about what transpired then in Parliament today in as far as the Mineral Resource and Energy Department briefing Parliament on government's solar water heater project.